Right, hello, welcome guys. In this tutorial video we'll be conducting password attacks using two tools. One is called Hydra and the other one is called Medusa. So to get things started, I've got my Kali Linux machine and I've also got my Linux Kong machine started up. Find out the IP address, and it's 172.16.2.102. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a quick nmap scan on the Kong machine, and this shouldn't take too long. Okay, so we can see we've got SSH on port 22. We also got HTTP on port 80. So I would use Hydra for SSH and demonstrate how to use Medusa for port 80. So let's go on to the IP address on our web browser and we paste that in. We can see, and the directory I'm trying to brute force is called webdav, and you can see straight away it prompts me for username and password. So I'm assuming I don't know this and I want to brute force this using Medusa. So the first thing I could do is I could type in Medusa, and you can see straight away Medusa has some flags that we could use. So specify the host name, file containing host name and target if you got multiple targets, -u for username, or a list of password file for the username. So if you got a list of users, you can try that. A file containing the passwords to test, and I think another module we have to specify is the module we're trying to brute force, and so on. So let's get it started real quick. So from the lecture notes, if you remember, we could do Medusa and specify the host. So the host is what? Let's try that again. Yeah, so the host is 172. I'm just going to clear screen. The host is 172.16.2.102, which is the IP address. That's fine. -u. Now I'm going to be using a word list from Metasploit. So I'm going to do cd/usr/share/metasploit-framework. And if we go into here, we do a list. I'm going to go into the data directory list, and we have word lists. So cd word lists, and do a list again. And you can see we've got a list of different password files that we could use, or dictionary files we could use. So I'm going for this default HTTP password, and I'm also going for default HTTP users list. So if I do a pwd, I get the current directory. So I'll copy this, go back to Medusa, provide this in, provide the user password file, which is http default users txt. Copy that, go back in here, paste that in here as the username list. The password file also similar to this. The only difference is we have http_pass.txt, default pass.txt. So we could do http default_pass.txt. -m is to specify the module. So the module is http that we are brute forcing, and then we specify the directory. So -m directory : if we go back to our web page, we know the directory we're trying to brute force is called webdav. So that's what we need to provide here, /webdav. I'll put another backslash in there, and the number of threads. So that will tell us the speed. I'm saying the number of threads should be 10. So Medusa, the host name, the user password, the user file, the password file, and the other options. So click on enter. Medusa has completed, but if we scroll somewhere to the top, we should be able to see the success. and there we go. We could see account found, user admin, password root. And if I try to log in now with those credentials, admin, root, success. Okay, so that's how to use Medusa. So the next one I'm going to demonstrate on the SSH port is Hydra. So let's say, for instance, you already have a set of usernames you want to try. So in this scenario, I'm going to be assuming we already know what the username is, but we don't know what the password is. So if we go into cd usr/share/wordlist, Kali Linux has some word list we could try. So we have this famous one called rocku.txt, and I'm going to be creating a custom password from this list to save time, and using that password list to brute force using Hydra. So I'm going to do cat rocku.txt, and I'm going to grep for the word Aston Martin, and I'm going to put everything that has the word Aston Martin into a file in my root directory called custom pass.txt. Now if I go into my root directory, I have the custom pass.txt. We could have a look at the contents of this file and see we've got password Aston Martin. Everything in here has to do with Aston Martin. Okay, so in your experience, you might have to use the whole of this file, but it's going to take considerable longer time considering the password is actually in this file, because it is a very big file to start with. But I'm just removing because I know what the password is, but I'm just trying to create a custom password file to make this tutorial video quite quick. So now we have that. We could use Hydra, and we specify the username. So -l, the username is James. The password file is called custom-pass.txt, and then we specify the IP address of the target, so 16.2.102, and then the service we want to brute force is SSH. Okay, and fingers crossed, we run that, give it a bit of time, and we should be able to see the username and password to the SSH port presented to us. Boom. So you can see login with James, password Aston Martin. So now if I do SSH James at 172.16.2.102, prompts me for a password, type in Aston Martin, and you can see straight away I'm logged in as the user James. So in a nutshell, a brute force, a password attack using a dictionary file is as good as the dictionary file you've got. If the dictionary file has got the username or the password in, then your success rate would be quite easy. But if the password is not in the password list, or it's a complicated password, then the brute force might probably take longer, and you might not be able to brute force that easy. So a brute force attack could be conducted also if there is no lockout. So sometimes you might try to brute force, and if there is some configuration on the target, might prevent you and block you or your IP address from actually having any contact with the victim or the host you're trying to brute force. So there's a lot of precautions regarding using brute force attacks, but that's just one of the ways and some of the tools that you can use to conduct a brute force attack. So hope that helps, and thanks for watching. See you next time.